If you can see the screen, just say you can see the screen. Okay, thank you for the confirmation. So let's start today's CPD. So let's go ahead with the small introduction about myself. How many of you already knows. Anyhow, a small introduction. My name is Mohammed Munas. I'm a chartered quantity surveyor. I'm a dual practitioner in construction industry as well as I'm practicing in academic also. And I'm doing the training for APC members now since two years back. So this is all about the small brief. And I just wanted to know where you people are attending this CPD. Can you say your location? Which location you are attending the CPD today? Very good. Dubai, India. Oman. Very good. Okay, so we have Qatar. Any other place? Bahrain. Okay. Okay, so nice to see you all. Okay, nice to know from London also. Good. Okay, so let's go to today's topic quickly so we can have more time to discuss. So now I just wanted to confirm how many of you are going for this RICS interview on this May 2021? Can you confirm? How many of you? Very good. One. Who else? Very good. Okay, so there's already some candidates. They are going for a final interview. Okay, good to know that one. And others, I believe you are preparing in the future and you wanted to have some idea how it's going to be, isn't it? Okay, so let's move to today's topic. So be interactive with me during the session and you can ask and you can clarify more question at the end. Okay, so initially I'm going to give detailed information about all the process and I'm going to give you the time, adequate time to ask your question at the end. So you have your time for to ask your question. Now let's talk about the final interview preparation. Okay, so I brought into two topics here: before the interview and during the interview. Okay, so how we have to prepare before the interview and during the interview, because these preparations are more important than after interview. After interview, you are going to get the result, isn't it? So which is more important? We have to prepare. We have to prepare before the interview and during the interview, how to manage it. So therefore, let's start from the preparation before the interview. Okay, so now what do you want to know before the interview? Anybody have the idea? What do you do before the interview? How do you prepare yourself? All of you, whoever going for this time, tell me how you are preparing yourself before the interview. Yes, any idea? There are so many people going for this time. So are you not preparing yourself? Or if you are preparing, how do you do? Yeah, you do mock interview, very good. Practicing, yeah, making notes, very good. Going through with the competencies and learning them, very good. What else you do? Understand the requirement. Very good. Yeah, we have to know how to do this. Very good. Prepare the case study in requirement. Okay, you are going for a direct route, I think. Yeah, go through the submission. If you are prelim candidate, you have to go through your submission and you have to go through with the referral report, right? Yeah, fine. So that's great. Great to know all of your point. Okay, let me give my guidance for you. So focus carefully. Before the interview, we have to have the preparation on the case study. There are two way we can think about this. One is some candidate go to interview directly, like a structured training candidate. They can go to interview directly. Therefore, they prepare and go straightly to the final interview. So it is a little bit tricky. How many of you like in under structured training route? Is there any candidate here for structured training route? Okay. Now your problem is you don't know what is the problem with your case study. Whereas the prelim candidate already submitted and they got some referral report or some notes and they aware, okay, they aware about their case study compared to the structured candidate route. So now how do we need to prepare? Are you going to just read it and prepare, or you need some more support? What do you think? How you people, okay, whoever going for under structured training route, how do you prepare your case study? So we will see, okay, about how we have to prepare a case study in a both way. One is structured, another one is a prelim. Second one is a summary of experience. Okay, we are going to talk about all the aspect under this summary of experience. And third one is the CPD record. And the diary for a structured candidate only. So this diary we can discuss only for a structured candidate route. Yeah, it is you should know what to do there. And also presentation. We will talk widely about the presentation, how to prepare it. This is a very important part of our today CPD. Okay. So whichever generally covered in RICS guidance, or there are so many materials available for you to go through. I am not going to talk them, that you can do it yourself. What I am going to talk, which is not available in outside, which is specific for you to prepare yourself. So today I am forgot myself. I am a assessor or trainer. I am like you today. Okay, I am a student. So how I am going to prepare myself for final interview. So are we ready? Are you all ready? Very good. So case study. Think about the case study. Very important point. If the case study fail, everything is collapsed. So can we do the mistake in the case study? No. Okay, we can't do the mistake in the case study. So how to write the case study or how to prepare for the case study? You have to go through with them now carefully. Sorry for the cough. So now the thing is, see, we have two candidates, as I told. One is a structure, another one is direct. That means the direct route, right? So the structure and the prelim. So the prelim candidate, they already went through some extent, and now this is the time for you. This is a time for you to go through with again, and you have to identify is there any pitfall, because sometimes your case study is not really the strong. Okay, what do you mean by strong? What do you mean by strong? That is not touching the core competencies. Okay, the issue is very simple. You have the straightforward answer, you will have more chance to fail in the final interview. So first you have to say, okay, you have to think whether your case study is a very strong one or not. Second one, you have to understand whether this is interlinked with the competencies, especially the core competencies. We have to cover at least 3 or 4, okay, minimum 3. If your case study not touching all the core competency, that's fine, but not only one competency, at least it touch 3, okay, core competency I'm talking. Then we have to take the case study from the life experience, real life experience. Can we go a case study with the imagination? Can we do that one? If we go any case study which is not real, what will happen in the interview? What do you think? They are, all the assessors are well trained, okay? They can do the reality check and they can find out this is not the real case, okay? They are well trained and they know how to catch the reality of the case study. So it should be from your experience. So truth is truth. So they can identify by cross question to make sure that it is came from your experience. And also remember, it should be interlinked within the competencies. Make sure once again check it your case study and the competencies, SOE, that is summary of experience. It should be interlinked. Say for example, you are talking about the case study which is talk about the procurement and tendering. That exact key issues should be appear in your SOE, right? Summary of experience. Likewise, you talk about the quantification and costing. So that particular competency should be reflected in your summary of experience also. If not, say you talk about all the issues relevant to the procurement, but you write in the summary of experience, which is nothing talk about the case study. What panel will think about you? Tell me. Or what the challenges you will face if you don't interlink the case study and the summary of experience. What do you think? Correct. The fake case study leads to failure in the interview. Very good. So you must carefully now check even the structure candidate or the prelim route candidate. You have to go and check whether this case study interlinked within the competency or not. For example, my procurement, I talk about the procurement issues. So is that SOE is covered the procurement issue, whatever I'm discussing in the case study. I'm talking about the data management. Is it covered from the case study? I'm talking about the communication negotiation. So I have done the communication negotiation in my case study. Is it covered in my summary of experience? So you have to have the proper check. Do you understand what I'm telling here? Everybody is clear to all. Is it clear to everyone? Okay. So now if somebody have the question on this particular area, just say, okay, why it is not clear yet. Otherwise, it is very simple to understand. So we have to check the competencies that relevant to the case study interlinked with the summary of experience. Okay. And also, one more thing we can say, yeah, the case study should be within 24 months. Okay, that is very important. The case study, that means the key issue arised, that should be within 24 months. Otherwise, the case study is expired. So you can't use it. That is very thumb rule. Okay. So those informations are common information that you can find. That's what as I told you, I'm going to discuss something very specific today. Okay. So then once it is all clear, what you have to do, you have to identify, is there any shortfall in your case study, or is there any pitfall in your case study? How do you identify there's a problem with your case study? Any technique or any strategies? how do we identify any issues with the case study? What is your strategies, gentlemen? Okay, think critically. Fine. What else we can do? Level 3 practice. Okay. Check with counselor. Yeah, counselor is also can help you to identify any shortfall or pitfall in the case study. Okay. So now the only good option is you have to give, yeah, proofreading. Yes, give some assessor. Okay, different assessor, because every assessor have their unique way of look at the case study. Every assessor not competent in one competencies. Sometimes some assessor are stronger than particular competency, but in all overall RICS, even we are passing the interview, but sometimes some assessor more practice on the procurement, so he is not much in the contract practice. Okay, some assessor very good in the contract practice, but not much into the procurement. Likewise, so each and every assessor have their own core area, specialized area. So you have to give multiple assessor, right, to check your case study whether is there any shortfall or any issues. Then only you can understand. If you give 10 assessor, you will get 10 different comments. So this is how you are getting two benefit. One benefit, you are identifying the shortfall or you are removing the pitfall. That is one benefit. What is the second benefit? All of you. If you give to a lot of assessors, what will be the second benefit for you? Okay, so the second benefit I am waiting for a proper answer. Okay, that's the things. We can understand almost all the questions, right? If you know what are the questions going to become, is it easy for you to prepare, right? Isn't it? So we have to do that one. Other than that one, once you identify the shortfall, what you have to do? You have to update your case study. Once you update the case study, what else you have to do? All of you. After you update the case study, what do you have to do? Is it enough? Once we update the case study, that's all? Yeah, we can recheck with the assessor, but other than that one, we have to check the summary of experience again. Correct? Because it is interlinked. If you change here, that also will change. So we have to make sure all are in line. Now, once you updated again, what to do? That's all over. Because previously you have some pitfall, now you have removed. Okay. Then again, you have to reach the different set of assessor or same sets of assessor, okay, to give the document to have the again second review. That will also help you to remove the pitfall, right? And give some potential question to you. So here the key point is for you. You must have some assessor in your contacts. Okay. Now coming to the summary of experience. This is another important point that we have to see. How do you people write the summary of experience? Tell me. You just see the syllabus point and you covered, or how do you write this? Do you have any strategies? Are you following any strategies when you are writing the summary of experience? Yeah, we have to see the guidelines. RIC's guidelines there. Correct. We have to get from the real time experience. Very good. Yes, that's great. Okay. Yes, we have to see the RICS pathway guidance. That's fine. Now, correct. Now, we have to see carefully again. Okay, identify the pitfall. Sometime you do the mistakes. Okay, you do the mistake when you write the summary of experience, or you cannot recall what you have written in the summary of experience. Sometimes the RICS can ask the question from the summary of experience. Mr. Candidate, you have write like this. Can you explain that one? So if you not remember what you have written in the summary of experience, or if you don't remember every single word that you have written in the case study or summary of experience, you are in trouble. So be careful. You should remember what you have written in your all the document. Okay, you have to be very familiar. So the case study which is done by you, you can remember everything. It is reality test. Something okay. You talk about the claim. If you write about the claim under the contract practice, right? Or you talk about the tendering issue. Something happened during the tender. You write in your summary of experience, right? If the assessor talk about something tendering issues, you know what he's referring to, so you can answer easily. Otherwise, if you just copy paste somewhere else and you modify this content, right, you will be in trouble. So there is so many ways they can check the reality, whether really you done this work or not. So go through them carefully. This is a time for you. Now you are going for a final interview, especially for prelim candidate. You have time to revise your document. Do you know that one? You have time to revise the document. So take this opportunity seriously, and you have to work well now to complete your submission, because once you submitted, it is locked. Okay, so you have only how many month you have right now, or how many weeks you have left now for submission? How many weeks? Do you aware about that one? When is the submission closing date? We have 8 weeks left, and it is mid of March. It's 15 March is the closing date. I'm not sure who's put the 31st March. Okay, maybe it is you are maybe in a different location. I'm not aware, but it is should be 15 March. So we have to prepare everything. Okay, okay, by going carefully. Now, especially when you are going for a submission, don't submit on the 15 March. Don't wait last moment. If you wait for the last moment, maybe RICS ARC portal may be hanged. Okay, so you have to be ready to submit by first week of the March. Don't go for a second week. So forget about the last 2 weeks that you have left for the submission preparation. So you have in reality 6 week only, 1.5 month maximum. Okay, so you have to utilize this time very carefully. If you don't utilize, you will be in trouble in the interview. Therefore, identify the pitfalls. How do you identify the pitfalls? If you read, you don't understand. Give to the assessors, they can read it and they can advise you. This is very important. This is how the many people failed. Then that summary of experience from your real life experience. Then only you can remember. Okay. That is should be interlinked again with the case study. Okay. So check it. Whether your summary of experience matching with your case study or not. If not, you have to correct it. If not, you have to correct it. Right? And you have to prepare how to answer. So you aware about the level 1 competencies, level 2 competencies, and level 3 competencies. You got any question on the level 3 competencies? Which level you have to meet? Which level your answer should be meet? What do you think? You got some question on the level 3 competencies. So which competencies? Okay, so we have level 3 like a quantification, costing, procurement and tendering, right? We have level 3 competencies. So if you got a question on the particular level 3 competency, your answer should reach which level? All of you, which level we have to reach the answer? Level 3, yeah, advisory level we have to reach. Sometime what the people do in the interview, they cover up to level 1 or level 2 for level 3 competency. Do you think you can pass? Whatever the question, the way the assessor can ask, but you have to reach core competency level 3 level. Level 2 competency, level 2 level. Okay. So you have to be aware about that. So how we can practice? You have to do a lot of question and answer session. And no bluffing. Okay. The assessor left limited time to check you are competent. They have no time to listen your bluffing. They are also in a hurry to cover all the question on all the competency. How many competency now they have to answer? Okay, they have to ask the question, how many competencies now? Not 21. 19 competencies for a new candidate. Maybe if you are an old candidate, it is going to be, yeah, it is 19 competency because new competencies added before 10 mandatory, now it's 11, including the inclusive environment. So 19 competency, how many minutes? Within 40 minutes, they have to ask all the question. Not 40 minutes exactly, it's around 38. So do they have much time to ask the question? No, they don't have much time to ask the question. Therefore, you have to not to waste their time. So no bluffing, no rounding around. If you don't know the answer, we will discuss how to do that one. Okay, how to manage in the next part. So no bluffing. Now coming to the CPD, right? How many hours we need the CPD? How many hours formal and how many hours informal? Yeah, total 48 hours we need the CPD. And how many hours formal? 24 is a formal and 24 is a informal. Do you know whichever you write, some people, okay, write CPD, a lot of hours. We need at least 48. You can go for a 50, 55, that's fine, maximum 60. But, don't go for 100. Don't go for a CPD junkie. That is called junk. You put yourself under trouble. Why? Do you aware about that one? They can ask the question on the CPD also. Do you aware about that one? How many of you aware that the assessor can ask a question based on your CPD also? How many of you aware? So this is called you put yourself in trouble. Therefore, if you write something about the CPD, I have read the RICS guidance notes. Okay, for example, saving safely. I have write. Okay, I have read savings safely. So what do? You have to carefully study that one. Keep some notes. Say for example, you have attended some CPD. Maybe the assessor also attended the same CPD. Maybe he will ask the question based on his knowledge. I also was there. You said you have attended the CPD. Can you explain about this particular issue? So can you explain what was the outcome? So when you're writing the CPD report, make sure you put something learning outcome which is easy for you to recall whatever we have discussed. Okay, during the CPD or whatever you have learned during the CPD. Do you understand what I'm telling this point? You must write something to recall, right? The subject what you have studied through the CPD. So this is the time for you. It's a golden time for you to update your CPD record. If the assessor know, okay, already you write everything, what to ask, he already know, then he will not ask the question. It's a tricky for you. Okay. It's a good trick for you. to avoid the question from the CPD. So write as much as possible, whatever you know. Sometimes they ask, you know, already the answer, but don't go without preparing for it. Okay. Any things you have written, you will be questioned. So be aware about that one. Diary. How many of you completed your diary? How many of you here completed your diary? No, it's for a structure candidate only, not for a prelim. So a structure to candidate, tell me how many of you completed your diary. Say yes or no, or I'm the structure candidate. Be aware about that one. Okay. It is should be matched with your summary of experience. Very critical things. It should be matched with the summary of experience, and also it is should be matched with your case study and the timeline that you have mentioned in the case study. Say for example, you might be a 24-month structure candidate or 1 year structure candidate, right? So you are writing the diary for 1 year. So your case study say it is raised within that period. So it must be tally with your diary. Say in March 2020, I had this particular issue. This is trigger the case study. Okay. So in particular diary on March particular date, you have to write something relevant to the key issue. Do you understand what I'm telling here, everyone? Especially the structure candidate. Is it clear to you? Yes, it is clear. Do they read the diary? Yes, they can read the diary. Okay. Be ready for everything. They can check also. So don't take it as a simple. You should cover all the competency throughout the diary and be prepared to tally that one and be prepared any question on that. Don't leave anything. Whichever you have done, you might expect the questions. Okay, you might expect a question. So it's for a structure candidate. For prelim, you don't need to worry about this. And your diary should from your real experience. Now coming to the presentation, this is the very important part. Which competency this presentation touch? Which competency this presentation can fail you? All of you. Communication. So you do the presentation through your case study. Okay. Your case study document represent your written communication skill. Your interview time you are doing the case study preparation presentation, right? So this talk about your oral communication skill. While you are doing the presentation, they can look at you. That so your body language. So everything you can they are checking during this time. They don't need to even ask single question on this particular competency whether they can decide whether you are pass or fail. You understand? Only one competency that assessor no need to ask the question because you prove your written skill in your writing summary of experience in the case study, and you have proof your presentation skill. That means oral communication skill during the presentation and your body language. So this is can justify whether you are qualified in this competency or not. They can ask one or two questions. Sometimes no need. Okay, so how to do that presentation? First, you have to build the content. How do you are going to do? Structure your presentation. Okay, first you are going to do the introduction about yourself. You are going to do the introduction about the project and the case study, key issue. Then you have to structure your body of your presentation and make sure you are concluding in a proper word and thanks. Now, when we do the presentation, I have mostly noticed the candidate not welcoming the panel member. Straightly they go for presentation. Don't do that one. You have to welcome first your assessor when you start the presentation. So start with the proper welcoming note, and when you finish your presentation, finish with the thank note. Right? So are you going to talk whichever you are going to talk during the interview, or you are going to write each and every single word that you are going to talk during the interview? Which is best way? What is the best way for you? Are we going to talk randomly during the interview, or are we going to keep ready? Remember, this is not the place you can see the trial. Okay, this is your final interview. You must keep each and every word that you are going to talk in the interview now. You have to practice those. Okay, so you have to practice those because it should be very clarity, and it should be technically meet all the competency. So you have to write your script right now. How you write the script after you finalize your case study, summary of experience with the assessor, everything is now fine. Okay, then you can do that presentation preparation. It takes time. It takes time. Preparing the presentation, it takes a lot of time. And doing the better presentation, you need to do more practice. That takes further time. Okay, so many people fail in this presentation. So when you do the presentation, you are not ready with the script. You want to talk whatever you feel. They know you are not ready. Okay, they are checking you. They know, they will find the way how you prepared, whether you really ready or not. They ask a lot of ways. Assessor can understand. So therefore, keep ready your script. And timing. Once you ready with your content, you have to write your script. When you have to allocate timing for each and every content. How much I am going to spend the time for introduction, how much I am going to write for the project key issue, how much time I am going to discuss each and every option, right? How many minutes I am going to discuss for achievement and the conclusion and thank note. Everything well defined. We have to monitor the timing very carefully. How we can monitor? How we can monitor the timing, or how we can make sure that we can conclude the presentation on time? What to do? Or how to do that one, or how to achieve it? Do you have any strategy? This is the place you have to practice first yourself, then you have to practice in front of the assessor or your counselor or some other candidate who can understand the APC process. Okay, it is not you just do it alone. When you do alone, maybe if you are in front of the people, you will get fear or you got nervous. So don't do that one. So practice with the time. You can, during the interview, you can have your timer. Don't use the mobile phone as a timer. You are not allowed to use, but you can have the watch. Better to go for a digital clock with a timer. Okay, so when you start the presentation, you can click on it. Okay, so that also start the timing, so you can manage it. But before that, you have to get the permission from the assessor. Okay, you can use the timer, but get the permission from them, yeah, in a polite manner. So that will help you to manage the timing. And anyhow, after 9 minutes finished, assessor will give the signal for you. Then you have to wind up your presentation on time. Say for example, you finish the presentation, still 10 minutes finished, but you didn't finish the presentation. What will happen to you? You are still supposed to do more talk, but your time is over. Then what will happen? Assessor will stop you. Okay, they don't want to give more time for you. Okay, so they will stop you. That is not good for you. Second thing, you finish by 9 minutes instead of 10 minutes. The presentation is 10 minutes. Okay, but you finish by 9 minutes. Then what will happen? Or you finish by 8 minutes. So what is the problem here? One is you are not managing the time. Very good. And what else? You gave additional minutes for them to ask the too much question. Okay. If you are early completing by 1 minute, they can ask 1 minute extra question. If you give 2 minutes, they can ask 2 minutes. So be careful about the timing. It is very important factor. This won't come without practice. Okay, so decide presentation delivery method, whether are you going to use the flip chart or PowerPoint. Okay, sometimes you don't need the presentation also. You can do it without flip chart or PowerPoint also. It is not mandatory. Nowadays, due to the COVID-19, we are having the online through the online interview only. So use the PowerPoint. That is very simple. What is the problem with the flip chart? If you are going for online interview, maybe it is covering your face sometime. Okay, it is not much, not visibility for the assessor. So, but anyhow, whichever you are convenient, you can use, because assessor also already getting their copy of your presentation. They are not really on depend on your flip chart or PowerPoint presentation, but still you make their life easy. So decide the appropriate presentation delivery method. See, flip chart in general we are printing, right? So in case you late changes, last moment you feel I want to change this, you can't do that one. Maybe it is difficult for you to manage the time. So PowerPoint is very easy. But anyhow, whichever it is convenient for you, you do. Sometime you can do without PowerPoint presentation or flip chart also. Tell me which method you people are preferring, all of you, when you go for a final interview. Okay, that's good. So while you do the presentation, make sure, okay, you are not getting the nervous. You are very confident, okay, and you keep eye contact, and the body language should be very appropriate, and use the vocal variety. The presentation is, if I can say, it is just 10%. The vocal variety is the 90%. How you talk, right? How you give the weightage while you're talking, right? So this is more important, the vocal variety. Therefore, all of you must learn properly how to do the presentation. And very important point, as I told you, address the panel at the introduction, and at the end, thanks for them for listening your presentation. But every single word again to address the panel or thanks for those, also keep script, and it will not come in a one day. You have to practice. Okay, then make sure you don't go without practice, or you don't go with the unstructured presentation. That means you don't know what to talk, how to talk, you don't have the script. You are going to read the slide. Be careful, don't read from the slide. The presentation opportunity given to you to explain something that not covered in your reports. Say for example, case study 3000 word, we can put everything, isn't it? Say this is the good chance for you. You submitted already, okay, you submitted the case study. Now you are going for a mock interview. Now you identified there are problem, there are gap. I supposed to add this also, but I didn't add. Now you have the chance under your presentation, you can include them whichever you missed in your case study. So you are getting the another chance, don't miss it. So don't read the slide, give more information. Take the opportunity to give whichever the information missed in your submission. Okay, and you have to manage your time. As I told you, no time management, you fail. This give very bad impression with the panel member. Okay, so avoid those things immediately. Proper dress code. Okay, either it is over the online or direct, you have to have the proper dress code. They will ask you to show 360-degree okay view of your rooms, everything. Correct? So you have to have the proper dress code. You know, this is very important. Not only for RICS, even you go for any interview or any job, the dress code is very important. So you have to maintain the proper dress code while you do the presentation, while you talk to the assessor, while you answer the questions, everywhere, even the personal life. You can be a confident. We have to be confident, definitely, but don't be overconfident. The overconfident kill you. You should do a SWOT analysis for you. What is your strength, weakness? You have to do it. So be confident, but don't be overconfident. Okay. So you should have some good attitude. Now, some more additional practice I can advise you before you go for a final interview. One is you must have the adequate mocks. How many mocks is adequate for you? What do you think? 1, 2, 3. How many mocks it is adequate for you? Yes, you must have at least 3 or 2, but more mock is more better. But again, one thing you have to understand. You have to practice. Okay, mock, that's fine. But every mock you do, you have the lesson learned. You can understand some shortfall. When you identify the shortfall, rectify it. How do you rectify them? Say while you are doing the mock in the question, you didn't answer some area. How do you do next? What is your strategy? We have to no changing the script won't work. If you don't understand the question, if you are not answering the question, problem with your knowledge. You don't know that one, or you don't improve your answering skill, right? You might know, but you don't know how to answer it. Either if you know the answer, but you don't know how to answer, practice. Do the Q&A session and practice. Second thing is, you really don't know anything. Then you have to improve. So next time you don't do the same mistake. Maybe you do a different mistake. That's fine, but not the same mistake. So you have to improve. Have the adequate mock. In between the mock, you have to have the upgradation. Then you can go for another mock, again upgrade, go for another mock, like that. So have enough mock. But you have to have the fuel. Can we drive our vehicle without fuel? Can we reach the destination? Can you drive without fuel? No. What is the fuel here? Having the adequate mock is the driving. But what is the fuel here? To succeed in the thing, yes, the knowledge. Knowledge is the fuel. You have to have the proper knowledge. So you have to find them. And also Q&A practice. It takes a lot of time to improve the answer. What is your problem when you answering the question? You not answer fully. Only 1 or 2 point you talk and stop the answer. As an assessor, we are in a confuse. We are in a confuse whether to pass you or fail you. So don't give that such a chance. If you know the answer, give all the answer. For example, let me ask you one question. What are the factors deciding to choose the proper procurement route? All of you, can you give the answer? What are the factors impacting to choose a procurement route? All of you, give your answer. So the first answer is good. Cost, time, quality, complexity of project, but still I have 10 more points. Total, I can say 10 points. The client needs and won't know. Okay, that is not a proper answer. Time, cost, quality is a very short answer, not acceptable. Okay, so you have to give more points. As long as you give more points, there are 10 points. Minimum 10 points. Okay, but if you don't remember all the 10 points, okay, minimum say 5 points. Half. But not less. If you say 3 points, we have still 10 points total. Okay, you are below 50%. That means 30%. Can I fail you or pass you? Tell me. You don't give the unwanted chance for the assessor to fail you because you know the knowledge, you have the idea, but you are not answering fully. That's what I give you the random question. Okay, so you can understand how far you are covering the all the points. Very important. And use the terminology, standard terminology. Maybe in your project, okay, many of the candidate I have met in their project, in their country, in their local practice, they are using some wording which is not the standard. RICS people don't know those things. Okay, we know only the standard wording. So don't use your local wording or local practice standard terminology when you go for RICS interview. So those come with the Q&A practice and self-study, group study, which is better. What do you think? Okay, so self-study or group study, we have to do both. Self-study means you first develop yourself, right? So you first develop yourself. Now you have the good knowledge. Now you are going to the group study. Group study is like a brainstorming session. You can have a lot of different angles, different things, but there is a shortfall in the group study. What are the problem with the group study? Any of you? What are the issues that arising during the group study? All of you. Yes, sometimes you are practicing the wrong answer. Maybe the team member not practice, but he will insist, okay, this is the right answer. So it's not like that. When you do the group study, you have to accept the correct answer. Don't be a over smart. Okay, you are a learner. Some people will insist this is the right answer. Maybe that is wrong. Maybe you refer some answer based on your knowledge. That is right, but maybe that is not updated one. So you should, whenever you go for a group study, whenever you people answer the question, you have to show reference where it came from. That is best practice. Okay. So and also sometimes the managing the time between the group member. Okay. So either you can meet physically before we done the group study physically. Okay. That I know COVID-19. Now we can have the group study through the online. You have the opportunities by using so many platforms. But if the one team member not come, okay, maybe he delay the process. Make sure you are not impacting by anyone. This is your journey. This is your life, right? You have to finish it alone. There are people while you are studying, that's fine. It's needed. But You are the one going to go alone in the interview. You are going to face everything alone. So remember, you are even doing the group study, you are alone still. So you have to improve yourself and you have to practice the maximum level that you can do. And you should not interrupt or stop by the group member. Okay, somebody say, okay, today I'm busy. Shall we make it tomorrow? Today you are free, but he's busy. What do you do? Will you waste the time for tomorrow? There's not sure about the tomorrow. Okay, there's no need to waste the time. When I'm study, I did the group study, but we have to find the group member, a dedicated proper member. Okay, if you match with the proper team member, you can easily win in this interview. So finding a good member is a luck for you. Sometimes some members are very good in the particular competency. What we done when we are studying the group study, maybe we allocate the competency based on the person capacity. Say for example, let's start from the mandatory. Someone good in the team working, let him to lead the team working. Someone is good in the data management, let him to lead the data management. So you distribute the competencies. He need to take the responsibility to find all the question and answer and all the relevant information and help you. So this, you are doing the teamwork at the time, you are developing all of you together. But this is not works all the time. Okay, whenever you do group study, Q&A practice, mocks, once you identify some shortfall in you, check again your case study, check again in your summary of experience, and you have to upgrade those. Okay, you have to do even the presentation, you can change it. But everything you have the time. Until March 15, you have time to do whatever you want to do in the case study, summary of experience, CPD record, your diary. After that, you don't have a chance. Only you can do in the presentation until you go for a final interview. Therefore, be careful. And before you go for a final interview, make sure you people are checking the RICS website for any update. Sometimes the assessor asks, did you when you visited last time RICS website, what was the update? So make sure. Okay, so you have to find the latest information. Okay, now during the interview, now it is a time, it is your time, 1 hour time given, whether you are going to make it or you are going to go next time. This is like a war, you know, it's like a race. This is a real time, you have to make it happen. This is the 1 hour going to decide whether you are RICS or not. Now, how many years you study, how long you study, how much you study, how depth you study, how quality is your case study, doesn't make any sense. Nobody listen your story unless you achieve it. Do you agree with me? So this is your time, 1 hour time, a golden time given to you. How you are going to utilize? Go on time, either it's online or physically you are going to visit, go on time. If it is a physical location, what do you have to do? Say you got to know definitely where is your interview, which date, which time, which location. Now you know what do you do? You look like you are going to go for an interview, physical interview. What do you do, people? All of you. Okay, go before on time. That's fine. What else you do? Don't you have any other strategy? You don't have any other strategies. You have to have the pilot trip. You have to go and check 1 day before or some day ahead. You have to go and see how to reach, which route is convenient, which route is less traffic, where you can park the car, whether you have the parking facility or not. What I have to consider, is there any problem in this particular location, right? You have to check. If it is a physical location, better not to drive the car. Go with the taxi because you don't need to have the tension, while driving. If you are really going for a physical interview, because you are focusing on final interview. Maybe you are thinking maybe you get accident easily, right? So more comfort for you to go by taxi, so you can go on time. You don't need to worry about the parking and all. It's just one day, but be on time. Be on time, not 30 minutes, not 10 minutes, not 15 minutes. This is the day you wait for a year and year. Am I right? This day you wait for a year and year. Is it big deal for you to go before 1 hour or 2 hours? No, right? Go early. This is a day you wait for year and year. Remember, don't be lazy. Don't underestimate the time. Anything can happen anytime. So go on time. It is not 30 minutes or 50 minutes. Go on time and sit there and relax and familiar with the location if you are going. If it is an online interview, again, you waited for the year and year to attend this interview. This is a day. It's your day. Don't waste the time. Be ready earlier. Maybe it's too long. Maybe you think 1 hour, but be online and wait for them to come. While they come, you prepare, you study, keep on learn something. That's fine, but be available on time. In my interview, myself and my friend, we went early, too early. Okay, doesn't lose, because this is how we have waited for year and year. So don't underestimate it is nearby or something. Go wait there on time. Okay, you can understand anything there. You can have the time to react, or don't go at the last moment. Now the interview timing. First 10 minutes, it's going to be a case study presentation. It is your time. So how many minutes left for the assessor to decide out of 1 hour? How many minutes? 10 minutes it's for you. How many minutes left for them? 50 minutes. All of you. Are you with me? 50 minutes left for you. Okay. So this 10 minutes, you do a golden presentation that we have discussed how to do. Don't lose the opportunity. Give the best impression while you do the presentation. See, for example, I'm a lecturer, okay, more than now 15 years. I am more experienced to do the presentation, but in my RICS interview, I like you because it is interview. It is something different. It is not a normal day. Every single word we have to define, and we have to script, and we have to talk properly, and we have to manage the time, right? So don't be overconfident. Don't be as incompetent. You have to be in real. So you have to do the presentation in a very attractive manner that give the first impression. Okay, you got passed. 10 minutes gone. Now they can ask the question on the 10 minutes on the case study. Maximum 10 minutes they can ask the question on the case study. If you manage the case study question very well, this is almost they decide, okay, whether to fail or pass, because this is a very core area. 20 minutes you already consumed. So use the technique that I have told to have the mocks. More mocks, Q&A session, group study, self-study, everything. Then competency question. Out of 38 minutes, they have to ask 19 competencies. Be prepared for that one. They can ask a lot of question. It's an oral question. You can get a lot of question within these 38 minutes. Okay. So you have to manage all the questions. And they are giving at the last 2 minutes. Actually, 2 minutes for you to come back, because during the interview you didn't answer some question, so you have to come back. So they will give the time for you to close. So 2 minutes. So that time you can answer whatever the question you left without answering, and make sure again dress code, which is very important. And also during the interview, be careful. We have to listen properly. what assessor talking, what he is asking. Then you answer the question. So without listening properly, you can't answer, right? Sometimes what candidate do, when the assessor start to ask the question, he will answer the something. Maybe he don't understand what he is trying to ask. And also don't talk too much when the assessor talk. Say if the assessor start to talk, you have to stop wherever. You have to have that attitude, okay? If the assessor start to talk, you should stop. So listen well before you speak, and when the assessor speak, you stop talk. Sometimes the assessor don't like. You don't have the attitude. I'm talking, he's still talking to me. Okay, so don't bluff. We know. Assessor, we are not inexperienced, so you don't think that we don't know. We know the answer what we are asking the questions. Okay, we just wanted to hear from your mouth. So all the question assessor asks, they have the mark list, they have the checklist, what to check. Unless you answer, if you bluff or if you round around, you will fail immediately. Okay, you are giving the conception about yourself. You know, but if you bluffing, okay, you are giving a misconception yourself that you are going to fail. You are not competent. Why? What I'm talking here, you have the knowledge, but you are not coming to the exact key point, key area to answer. Okay, say for example, let me give you a proper advice here. The assessor asks, can you explain the difference between the construction management and the management construction procurement route? He is asking only the difference. But this guy trying to answer, okay, this is the construction management route, this is the management construction procurement route. You are trying to define and you are trying to give the difference. You don't need to do that one. He asks what, you have to give what. It should be match. He asks about A, you give about A. He asks about B, give about B. Correct? So he asks about different. You don't need to define what is it. But this is the procurement tendering is a level 3. So your answer should be advisory level. So end up with the advisory. Okay. In which scenario I will advise to go for this route and that route. So don't bluff. So you have to meet the required level on the competencies. And if you not understand the question, sometimes the accent, right, of the assessor, we don't understand. How to do? We have to clarify. Can you please explain again? I'm not hearing you properly. Pardon. Likewise, we can ask humbly, politely. They can ask, but don't ask every time. Every question he asks, okay, you also keep on repeating. Can you repeat, please? What he will do? He can ask all the question. They will be get disappointed. They will challenge your communication skill. One or two question, yes, it is possible. But unfortunately, it is happened. Some assessor pronunciation we can't, understand. So that's leading to trouble. So find the way how we can manage that situation. Now, not remembering or don't know the answer. This is another scenario. You don't know the answer. Okay, don't bluff. You don't know the answer. Keep the note. Okay, this question they have asked, I didn't, I don't know. I can't remember the answer, or I don't know the answer. You note down and say, I will come back on this question because they are giving 2 minutes for you. Okay, so that time if you remember, you can say. If you don't remember at the last 2 minutes, you say, you ask this question. Okay, some question I can answer now. Okay, this the answer. Some question I cannot answer right now because I don't know or I don't remember. I will go through with that one. I will develop my knowledge. You can say like that and you can wind up, but don't bluff. If you don't know, don't know. That's it. And yeah, you can take the notes while you are doing the interview. When you are not answering any question, there's a pen and paper given, right? So, or you while you are doing the online interview, you say, Mr. Panels, I have the timer in my table. I have one pen. I have one paper. Are you allow me to use this? Yes, that's all. Okay. So now in ethics, especially, don't fail in the ethics. The ethics, if I can say you, I got the material for this competency. It takes a week to print. That much information we have in the ethics. Okay. If you print full day, it takes 1 or 2 days, not one day. But if you work in the office and you want to utilize the office, right, resource, it takes a week minimum. That much we have weightage on the ethics. Ethics fail, you fail. So remember, you have to go through with all the document and you not fail anything on ethics. And at the end, once the interview is over, say thanks to the panel. Okay. And I didn't talk about the mocks and all, how, okay, mocks or how the real interview going through, right? I have sample videos. I believe all of you knows about my contact detail. Anyhow, it is my contact. It's WhatsApp. Okay, so WhatsApp me by today, maybe before tomorrow end. Okay, I will not reply immediately, but definitely I will send you a copy of the two mocks I have, which is a live video from the RICS, or you can download from the RICS website also if you can. If you can't, I will give you the copy. Just go through with the sample mock videos. Okay. So you can learn something more than what I have told. But whatever I discussed today, something not covered there. I talk today on behalf of you, not on behalf of the assessor or someone like a mentor. Okay. So because today it is like from your view, I am uh, thinking and talking. So hopefully that will be helping you a lot. So thank you for attending today's CPD, and thank you for Mexa to organize this wonderful CPD session. And your question now will come. So whatever the question now you want to ask, I am giving you a minute. All of you, can you please type your question? So I will start to answer after a minute. Okay, if you have any questions. If you don't have any question, you can leave. Otherwise, if you have any question, it's time for you. 1 minute I can give you. All the question you can put in the chat option. Okay, so let's look at your questions. Okay, when should we provide our presentation to the assessing panel? Okay, it is depend, maybe 2 weeks before or 1 week before. Is it compulsory to have diary for structured training route? Yes. Yeah, it is going to be before the interview how to send the presentation. What to do if you don't know the answer? So that's what I have told you. If you don't know the answer, keep the note and say, come, I will come back on that. But if you say all the question, I will come back and come back, they will say, come back next time, right? So don't do that one. But 1 or 2 question, you can come back. And you have to answer that question. If you don't know answer at the last moment also, say you will go through and learn it. But never ever say during the interview, I don't know the answer. Don't say this one. If you don't know, I will come back. That's it. But don't say, I don't know. That you are killing yourself. Can I change the SOI in the second time submission? I mean, repeat try. Yes, you can do change in the case study, SOE. There are a chance to update all the time. Can we have a hard copy of your case study or presentation while conducting the interview? Can we have a hard copy? No. The case study, no. Presentation, you have already soft copy. Yes, you can keep a hard copy, but don't look at the presentation. Okay, only the assessor going to look at that. But you have to remember everything. So better to avoid that one. If our experience are not in level 3 advisory level for any particular competency, how we will answer to that? Say, first of all, you can go for an interview itself. You don't meet that requirement. Right? If your level 3 experience not covered, your summary of experience incomplete. Now, okay, anyhow, you write something and you went for an interview, right? Then you have to have the training on that one. You have to have some additional practice to improve that level. They are asking the most question from the SOE or other syllabus. They can ask both. There's no boundary. So you have to be ready by syllabus, RICS syllabus wise, as well as your summary of experience wise. They can ask anything. Ethical online exam. What about ethical online exam? You have to do it. What I suggest for all of you, I had a practice before I go for a final interview every day. It's like a entertainment. Okay, it's online. Just you can log from the mobile and do the ethical test. 1 hour or 30 minutes. It's fine. So every day you getting the practice. This practice I will advise during the last week of the RICS interview. Better to take some off from the job, at least 1 or 2 weeks. Have the enough adequate times. Don't mess up with the workload, okay, or any other issues. Keep everything aside. This is the time you have waited. You know that golden time coming on. So you waited for so long. So don't waste that time. Okay. So take a break, free from all the unwanted things, and focus on your task and the goal, right? And you can win in this final interview. So I prefer every time to do every day to do the online exam at the last moment. This time interview is online or face to face. This time I think it's going to be online because still the COVID-19 not reduced. The cases are keep on increase. So hopefully it's going to be online. But if the situation change, it can be face to face. So not sure, but hopefully online. How we can submit the presentation in the last try, they did not ask. They normally ask the presentation. I'm not sure what is this question, Anura. You can repress it. How many mocks a candidate should have? It is up to you. If you have 10 mocks, also good, but at least have 2 or 3. Okay. What will be the way forward if become nervous in initial stage? That is you have to practice. One thing I will tell you to avoid the nervous. Why we have to nervous initially? Think about that one. Why we have to nervous? No use. You went for an interview to become a RICS, right? If you lose because of one characteristic that is nervous, you unwantedly say to the panel that you are an incompetent fellow. So kill it. No longer needed. How to know the SOE and the case studies pass or not before the final interview in structure training? That's how you have to have the mocks. You have to have the reviews on your case study. As long as you have the reviews and the mock, the panel, the assessor can know, or RICS members know whether this case study good or bad. Okay, if any person doesn't have real time experience in last 3 years, so the person can prepare the case study. Does it mean he is not eligible to apply for MRICS? No, apply for MRICS, you can go for it. Only the problem you don't have the proper topic within the time frame. Okay, but application is something different. You have to go for application. That possible. I know everything, but facing problem with the presentation. Nobody know everything. Okay, so still we have to keep on learning. So still, if you are not confident with the presentation, you have to go with the guidance that I have given to you. You have to do more practice. So don't worry about it. But there are keep on. You have to keep on learn everything. Ethics test we have to do before submission or no? You have to do ethics test before submission. Yes, but what I'm telling, do it every day. It become more familiar to you. So if you become familiar to the ethic question, easy for you to answer. Okay, that's all. So that's all. I have got the question today. So thank you very much for attending today CPD, and thank you for Mexa again to arrange the CPD. So see you all. Good luck for you to have the successful RICS interview and become a MRICS, right? And once you pass, don't forget the MEXA. Don't forget me. Inform us. We will be very happy to hear that great news. Okay. So this is our dedicated vision to have a lot of RICS member on board. So thank you very much. Thank you for everybody to attend today's CPD, and good night and good luck to all of you.